Today we're painting skin. No, not our skin. But instead, we're painting the skin of this miniature. This miniature from Creature Caster. I think this could be the easiest skin miniature painting here at YouTube. And as you can hear, the roosters agree. The painting of the skin is very straightforward. We just did a lot of dry brushing, a few glazes with speed paints and washes, and very minimal highlighting. Hi, I'm Don. Welcome to my channel. This channel is supported by all these awesome brands. Also, special thanks to the Army Painter for making this video possible. Oh, don't forget my discount codes and affiliate links down below. There are a gazillion ways to skin a cat, so to speak, but I think this is one of the easiest skin painting that I've done. Oh, before we start, it's important to note that we're doing basic, very basic dry brushing. There is no need to check the humidity of the room or condition your dry brush with hair conditioners or moisten the dry brush so that it's more mud-like. I don't know. It's just basic dry brushing and it's faster to do. Let's not make something very basic a little bit more complex. I'm using Foxbite dry brushes in this video. You could also use the Army Painter Masterclass dry brushes. They are both goat hair. The main difference between the Foxbite dry brush and the Army Painter dry brush is that the Army Painter Masterclass dry brush is a little bit more dome-shaped. Thus, it facilitates better or it's easier to use for stippling. But we're not stippling today, so I'm using my Foxbite dry brushes. You saw earlier that we used Mulberry to paint over the black primer. But if you have the John Blanche collection, Blanche Berry is a little bit darker, thus it will transition better from black primer. Now we start painting the skin. We're starting with Topaz Skin. I applied Topaz Skin a couple of passes, and the second pass or second layer is applied mostly on the top areas and the more visible areas of the skin. It's not too visible in the video, but the recess areas and of course the shadow areas of the skin remain more mulberry than Topaz Skin. Now we're using leather brown on the non-skin areas of the miniature. We are also building up the non-skin parts, the underpainting of the non-skin parts for the speed painting later. You don't have to be meticulous in the dry brushing of leather brown, but be a little bit careful to dry brush over the skin parts. Now we're painting with agate skin. This is a nice rosy or pinkish colored skin. I'm dry brushing very lightly here, and I'm applying this color mostly on the top areas and the center areas, the belly, and the most visible areas of the skin of this miniature. Now we have a good base color. You can apply highlighting via glazes and layering, but we want to make this painting tutorial easier or the easiest, so we're dry brushing the skin. Do not worry if you apply this paint too much, it will be too bright, but it's very easy to tone it down with washes, glazes, and even speed paints. You see that I also used Dorado skin for the highlights of the underpainting of the non-skin parts. You could simply use white, but I don't want the underpainting to be too bright because I don't want to have a bright base color before we apply washes and speed paints, and of course before we do highlighting. Now if you find value out of this video, do give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. Now we have a very bright underpainting or base color for our skin. Let's tone it down with speed paint. Like I said in the intro, there are a gazillion ways to skin a rooster. So Like in my reverse slop chop video, you could simply paint the base colors of the skin and then not do dry brushing and then apply speed paints. But we did dry brushing build up the colors of the underpainting before the speed paints because dry brushing and washes are like the easiest, most relaxing, low focus methods in painting miniatures. Now notice the second round of applying the same speed paint. I'm applying the speed paint on the shade areas only and the recesses of the miniature. This will give your painting more volume. I mix a small amount of speed paint medium, roughly around 3 or even 2 parts peachy flesh and 1 part speed paint medium. Now I think the painting of the skin looks pretty good, and we only spent like 20 or even 30 minutes in the painting of this skin. Now we are going to apply some quick highlights via glazing. I will teach you how to glaze on top of this base color so that your highlights are going to be smooth. Now, unlike other acrylic paint brands, Warpaints Fanatics needs a little bit of thinning, a little bit more thinning, because the opacity, the coverage is so good. I thinned the Suratos skin roughly around 3, maybe 4 parts Warpaints Stabilizer and just 1 part paint. Of course, you could thin it more or thin it less, but with 3 parts stabilizer and 1 part paint, you just need to apply it roughly around 2 layers and you'll have really good results. Now the next 2 clips are real time so that you can see how fast I apply the glazing. To create subtle textures, I'm applying the paint via scratches or quick swift strokes and sometimes stippling. Now it's looking fairly good, but the shadow areas, the darker colors, are still a little bit rough because of the basic dry brushing. Since we want this painting to be one of the easiest or the easiest skin painting, I'm not going to glaze shade colors on the miniature. Instead, we're simply using washes. Now, what's the difference if you use thin down regular acrylics, regular Warpaints Fanatics for adding shades and shadows, and washes? Well, if you glaze with regular acrylics, they will smoothen the rough underpainting better or more effectively. And the washes are a little bit more subtle and they will definitely darken your painting. As you all know, washes were designed and formulated to add more contrast quickly. However, they will darken your highlights if you apply them on the highlight areas. This is hard to show in videos and photos, but I apply the washes only on the shade areas. And if ever I apply them on the highlight areas, I wick those off or rub those off with a clean brush. Now, before my final thoughts, a huge thanks to all my patrons at Patreon, Hajime Model Studio, and of course, the Army Painter for making this video possible. Now you can see in the video, I'm applying a few more highlights on the skin. And also, we're applying more highlights on the underpainting of the rest of the miniature before we paint with speed paint base colors. I'm not showing the painting of the non-skin parts of this miniature, of this creature caster miniature, because I just wanted to finish the miniature already. But as usual these days, I painted the rest of the miniature via our double slop chop plus. So I painted with speed paints, dry brush again, and then speed paints and washes, and then painted the highlights with Warpaints Fanatics. Oh, also I'll be doing another skin painting video very soon, this time via our reverse slop chop or chop suey method, which is painting of the base colors and then dry brushing a little bit and then painting with speed paints. Now I'm pretty happy with the result of this creature caster painting. Of course, as always, you could paint more highlights, add more depth, paint more shadows, glaze more to improve the painting. But with the amount of time that I did or that I spent in the painting of this miniature, I'm very happy with the result. Now, if you have an airbrush or you're comfortable painting via layering, basic layering, you could skip all the dry brushing and proceed to painting the skin in this manner and then apply the speed paints, speed paint washes, and of course the washes to finish off your painting. Or if you're enjoying the moist dry brushing, checking the humidity and conditioning your dry brushes for more advanced, more complex dry brushing, then you could do that. That will produce you better dry brushing, but that is more time consuming. That's it, Pansit. I hope you like this video. Do like, comment, subscribe, and all that stuff. Until next video, guys. Bye!